Again, if you just head on over into the chat box, I would love to know who you are, where you're joining us from today, and if you have an intention yet set for 2025. And we'll be doing a bit of that work, of course, together today. But it's always nice to know what are you coming in here with, right? What are you seeking? And even like, what's your version or vision of a tranquil new year? And also be sure to grab a cup of tea and a pen and your journal. You can also use post-it notes. There's no right or wrong here. So whatever you have handy, I just want you to be able to kind of capture what it is that I'm sharing with you because I'm going to be giving a lot of tips. I'm also going to be giving you some prompts. All right. So those of you joining, a big welcome. And if you would just head on over into the chat box, share where you're tuning in from, any fun fact you'd like to share, and maybe an intention for 2025. Again, you want to have some tea, you want to have your journal, a pen, etc. All right, well, let's get started. It is 6 o'clock Eastern time. And again, such a treat. It's an honor to be with you all tonight. And I appreciate you taking time out of your busy schedule, especially on the Sunday night before we launch into the first full week of 2025, which I know can be pretty intense for people. I was actually planning on going back to Washington, D.C. at 5:30 a.m. in the morning. But it turns out there's a big snowstorm coming. So I have pushed to Wednesday. As you'll see, I'm in a different space. I'm actually in New York at my partner's parents' home. So you do not get pink, but I did put a pink blanket over here to just infuse a little pink into our setting. So thank you all for, again, taking the time tonight, to be here with me. And I know many of you are probably joining from different places, so it could be morning wherever you are. Christine from snowy Kansas City to really focus on health and improving my health and wellness. Love it. Mary, Mississippi. Intention is to write a small book of poetry. Love it. Jody, hi from Virginia. Linda from cold Oklahoma. Margaret from Alberta is together. That's a great intention. Julie, enjoy the journey this year. Love it. And Sally, to honor and love myself more. Melanie, 2025 is seeking beauty and glimmers. Love, love, love. We've got Betsy from Delaware, Kathleen from Southern California, Megan from Iowa, Frankfurt, Germany. Oh my gosh, midnight, Allison, you're such a doll. I'm so impressed. Yes, please, you're welcome to stay off camera, you guys. Absolutely. I think many people will probably, hopefully, be showing up in their pajamas or whatever they are most comfortable in. So please, and thank you for joining at midnight your time. Hi, Miss Amber, waiting for the snowstorm. I know you guys in the DC area, and really, I think I read it's affecting like 70 million people across the US, the snow. So we're getting like massive snowstorm coming to Washington, DC tomorrow. Of course, as I was planning on flying back home. Allison from Virginia, Maureen from California, Lynn, enriching and balanced year. Love it. We've got Bonjour tout le monde. I love that. Maureen, thank you. I'm going to practice a little Duolingo there to challenge myself with doing more French conversation classes. Love it. Melody, we were below zero. Oh my gosh. You know what's crazy is today we were out and it was I think the temperature was like in the 20s, but it said feels like 3. I'm like, 3 degrees should be illegal. Hi, Miss Misty. Awesome, you guys. Bendy, Catherine, Shannon, Lexi, Mallory, Maureen, Bara. Hi, Bara, Misty. Maureen, Jennifer, Catherine, oh my gosh, Alicia from Australia, wonderful. We've got Gertie from Tampa, LA, Miss Lisa, and Olga from Barcelona. You guys, I am impressed. Carol, Kelly, Michelle, Carol, and Heather. Thank you all so much for being here tonight. It's an absolute honor. And if I didn't get to you, I apologize. I want to make sure we're able to move into the programming, but I really just want to say thank you so much for being here. It's been a really tough weekend. We had the funeral and burial of my partner's father who passed over the holidays. And so it's been really intense. And I have to say, knowing that this was coming up was just a little glimmer for me. So I really appreciate you all taking the time to be here with me tonight. And I hope to make it a really fun and joyful experience for you. So again, journal. You're going to want to have a journal, a pen. Again, a Post-it note works. That's fine too. And yeah, so here we go. All right, let's dive in. So I wanted to give you the agenda. What are we doing here together tonight? So I'll go through a little introduction. We're going to get centered. I find that to always be really important and powerful just to kind of get grounded in the moment. We're going to do 4 journal prompts. I'm going to give you a sneak peek into the Coterie, which is my year-long program. In its 5th year, you guys, it's year number 5. And just share a bit about that for you because doors are open and they're closing next Sunday. So if you're interested, would love to have you. I'm going to give you my top tranquility tips to help you launch into the season. And I really want to emphasize this is not about new year, new you. I really want us to think about new year, same you, just maybe a little enhancement. And what I mean by enhancement is just some shifts that make your life easier. Okay, so that's why I say new year, fresh start, a tranquil new year. And then on the menu, and that just means like what's ahead this year? Because there's a lot of fun things ranging from the Coterie to my big signature program to many free opportunities also, and then everything in between. So I wanted to give you guys just a little overview of what's coming down for 2025. And then Q&A for any questions that may come up during the journey. All right, so I always like to start by introducing myself because I never want to assume you know who I am. I know many of you I have known for 20 plus years. Some of you are newer to the Tranquility du Jour community. So a big welcome and a welcome back to those of you who are very familiar with it and maybe first found me with the book Hip Tranquil Chick because you love the binding that had leopard print. I see you and I know who you are and are joining us tonight. So I'm a psychotherapist in Washington, D.C. And I'm also an author. I've released 7 books, and I'm working on my 8th right now, which is all about midlife. I'm the creator of Midlife Musings on Substack, which is a really fun midlife offering. And I release a monthly newsletter and then 4 weekly podcasts, one that releases a week. And you've got a new one coming tomorrow that is with somebody I absolutely adore. Basically, everyone I interview for the podcast, I adore. But she is the founder of Broche Ballet, which is where I do a lot of my online ballet and the ballet festivals I go to every year. So I think you'll really enjoy it, whether or not you're into ballet, because what we really talk about is getting out of your comfort zone. I'm also the host of the Tranquility du Jour podcast now in season 2. So we started in 2005, 20 years ago. And then I closed it in January. Didn't close it, just paused it. And then I have reopened it with season 2 on all things midlife. So I hope that you're enjoying that and finding a lot of inspiration really on this journey, having turned 51, fully embraced the idea of midlife and learning all the little ways to navigate it. And then I serve as president of Pigs and Pugs Project, which is a cause very close to my heart. I live in DC, work has been featured in blah, blah, blah. My mission really is to help midlife women. And I want to say, if you don't feel like you fit into midlife, do not worry. I say midlife is like 35 plus. Okay. So I interviewed my 80-year-old mother for the podcast, even though she's not quite midlife, you could potentially say. And I interviewed Julie, who releases tomorrow, and she's like 33, I think. So, midlife is a broad range. And it really just, I like to think of it as a time of life where there's some transition happening. So I really like to think of helping midlife women find more beauty and balance in their lives. And just a few things I love: matcha latte, got one today after the burial, along with a donut with sprinkles, because that was a necessity, snail mail, and a ballet. So just a little about me. Now, why tranquility? So I started with a yoga studio back in 1999 called Tranquil Space that started in my living room and then grew to a much larger studio, which I know some of you are familiar with. You were teachers, you were supporters, or you visited at some point. And so the idea with tranquility is not that we have this perfect life and we're always tranquil, but how do we find this quality of calm even when you're at a funeral, a burial, you get an upsetting text message, your dog won't stop barking, those crazy things that happen in our lives. So this is my definition of it. It's the quality of calm within a full and meaningful life. So that is what I try to share with the umbrella of Tranquility du Jour. All right. So let's come to a centering practice and just coming to a comfortable seat, whatever that might be for you. I'm sitting cross-legged in a chair and then hands on thighs. Palms can face down because I want it to be a place of just getting grounded. So begin by lifting those shoulders to the ears, pull shoulders back, slide them into your back pockets, and lift tall through the crown of your head. And let's begin by taking a few deep breaths in and out of the nose. Now, as you draw the breath in through the nose, fill your belly, your ribs, and your chest. And release chest, ribs, and belly. If you'd like to bring a little dose of self-compassion, bring a hand to the heart center, or maybe even a hand to your belly. Let's continue this deep, full breath in and out of the nose. If you have a cold, of course, feel free to use the mouth. And notice how the breath comes in cool and then leaves a little bit warmer. And create an intention for our time together tonight, 1 hour. You be present. Can you connect to your body? Can you find dose of inspiration? Can you let go of something that's weighing on you? What would setting an intention for this evening look and feel like for you? Take a big inhale through your nose. And then exhale through your mouth. Again, inhale through the nose. Exhale through the mouth. And once more, inhale through your nose. Hold the breath. And exhale through the mouth. So you let the eyes slowly flutter open. Beautiful. Again, a big, big welcome, you all. Thank you for being here. And I hope that helps to just give you a little bit more grounding. And I also just want to mention, I love hosting this kind of like the Sunday before the first full week of the year, because I feel like there's a lot of anxiety, anticipation, and, coming back from the holidays and all those, oh, let's circle back. And you're like, oh, tomorrow's the day I'm supposed to be circling back. So I want tonight to feel light and intentional and airy as you move into the season. All right, so let's start with our journal prompts. Grab your pen and please grab something to write on. And my first prompt for you, especially after having just done this check-in, what am I noticing mentally, physically, and emotionally as I move into this brand new year? What am I noticing mentally, physically, and emotionally as I move into this brand new year? And I'll just hit mute just in case so you don't hear me writing. Take a moment to bring this one to a close. What am I noticing mentally? Like, where's your mind, right? Where's your focus right now? Hopefully it's here, but I know that our minds wander like every few seconds. So just noticing, is the mind planning? Is the mind ruminating, thinking about the past? Where are you? Right. And there's no right or wrong here. This is just to notice. This is a really great prompt to check in with yourself on a regular basis. And then physically, how are you feeling? I know there's a lot of colds going around, there's a lot of flu, and people are just out of sorts, right, from all of the traveling. So notice, how are you feeling? What are you observing? And then emotionally, how are you feeling as you move into this brand new year? All right. So, and again, feel free to leave some space if you want to come back to this. Number two is what worked well for me last year. So, as you think about 2024, what worked well for you? Did you come up with a new routine? Did you learn to set a new boundary? Like, what was it that worked well as you contemplate 2024? Again, spending just a moment more here. What worked well for me last year? Because again, it's really easy for us, and the mind just does this. Many of you know this from the negativity bias that we automatically have to look at what didn't go well, right? So we have to make ourselves look for what went well. And it can be really helpful to think about, oh, yes, I did start this new ritual or routine or practice. And we want to keep those in mind in case we want to carry them into this brand new year. What worked well for me? Right, number three. So this is a little envisioning, right? So that was a little reflection on what worked well. And then when you picture yourself at the end of 2025, like maybe at our next A Tranquil New Year happening in 2026, which it will be, but what do I hope to see? So, picturing yourself into the year or the next A Tranquil New Year, what do you hope to see? And I'll give you a few moments here and get as detailed or visual as you would like. You're not sharing this with anyone, so it's very personal and private, but see if you can really get into the details. And take a few more moments to fill this out or to really think about it. When you picture yourself at the end of the year, like what do you visualize? What image comes to mind? Those of you who can create images in your head. I know not everyone actually is a visual type person, right? So maybe you instead will write down a list of bullets, right? Of descriptors, or maybe you write sentences, or maybe you just think about it, or maybe you pull together some collage. So just thinking about what do you hope to see for yourself at the end of this year? And my last question for you. And do not worry if you do not have your word or theme yet of 2025, because I don't yet. I'm still chewing on it. All right. So if that's you, then you could list a few, see what comes to mind. And maybe if you list a few, you're like, huh, what do they have in common as you answer the question, which is how can I keep it top of mind as I move through this first full week? Okay. So say your word or theme of 2025 is spaciousness. So, how can I keep spaciousness top of mind as I move through this first full week? Well, in between appointments, I can make sure that I have a block of time to regroup, to hydrate, to replenish, to do some stretching, right? Whatever it is that would help you. So, thinking about whatever word or theme that you have come up with or you're still chewing on, then list those. And then think about how you can keep those because I'll bet they have a bit in common, how you can keep those top of mind as you move through this first full week, right? Because we want to not just go into 2025 enthusiastic, but we want to come in enthusiastic and carry it into our day to day. So I'll give you a few moments with this one. All right, so bringing this one to a close as you think about word or theme. And again, do not worry if you do not have it yet. I've got a list of them that I'm still toying with. And I like to really give myself until mid-January to see what fits, how to try it on. And I will say one of the things that's great about having a word or a theme for the year is say it was healthy. Like I have a friend who one of hers, and I still get a kick out of this is like to hers was to stop eating like a child, right? And so as you think about that, like maybe then the word or the theme would be healthy, right? So whenever we're making these daily decisions, it would be like, what's the healthiest choice right here? Or what would help me feel good about no longer eating like a child? Which I just thought was a funny way for her to phrase that, but I get it, right? And so for you, as you think about your word or your theme, what is it that comes to mind, and how can you keep that top of mind, especially this first week, you guys? Because I know it's going to hit like a boom for many, especially with those of you affected by snow or weather or family, all the things, right? So, how can you use this as a guiding light, almost like a North Star to support you? All right, so we're going to transition now. I'm going to introduce you to the Coterie, give you a little sneak peek inside. Then I'm going to give you my top Tranquility New Year tips, and then a little peek inside the Tranquility menu of what is coming up this year. And then we'll wrap up and share hopefully some takeaways. So be thinking about, anything in particular as you look through what you just wrote, as you look through all of this. What is it, that kind of stands out for you, and maybe circling those so that you're aware of what are the themes, right? What are the pieces that are popping up as we do a little reflection and intention setting? Okay, so Tranquility Coterie, as I mentioned, this is my signature year-long program, and I have here designed to be your haven for creativity, connection, and tranquility. And the piece about the Tranquility Coterie, as I mentioned at the start, it's now in its fifth year. It's a year-long journey, and I like to say it has everything in the kitchen sink in it. Like everything is pulled into this, and I'll tell you a bit more about what I mean by that. So, as I mentioned earlier, also, it's for women in midlife. However, women beyond midlife or women who don't feel like they've yet hit midlife, because I didn't really identify with that phrase until I hit 50. And yet I'd been in midlife for 15 years at that point. But the thing about this is we do have women in a variety of ages. So please don't feel like you're beyond it or below it. But what I like to bring into this work is thinking about, in particularly, the challenges and the joys that come along with midlife. Now, this experience is for you right? So here's some ideas on ways in which it really does support. So space for monthly and seasonal reflection, equipped with a variety of tools. That's the thing. I do feel like the Coterie is a big old tranquility toolkit, interested in guided practices. So there's a lot of support. There are 40 virtual gatherings, you guys, plus one in person. So there are many, many options. And of course, you show up for what works for you and you don't for the others, or you get the replays and you do them on your own time. And you can also just pick and choose what you're most interested in, which I'll show you what that is in a moment. So here's all the things, you guys, that are included. So we have 12 monthly master classes, and then there are 2 lessons that go with it each month. So the first month is dreams. Then we have seasonal soirees, and the first one, you guys, is next Saturday, January the 11th. These are really fun ways. They used to be called virtual retreats, but we come together and we really think about setting the tone for the season ahead. We have monthly co-creating. Now, this is a time where we spend 1 hour and we just work together on whatever creative project that is nourishing our soul at that moment, or maybe emails we need to handle. You get to choose. But there's something about being in a group and actually getting some things done that people find it incredibly helpful. There's seasonal virtual tea dates. And here we come together. I give 4 journal prompts similar to what I just did. And then we have a little Q&A time and we move on our way. But it's a really nice way every quarter to check in. And then we also have seasonal creativity pop-ups. You see, I have one kind of slated for each month of the year. These are 3-hour creativity sessions happening on Saturdays. Everything happens at noon Eastern time. There may be a slight deviation here and there with a guest teacher, but otherwise, all noon Eastern time. And these are really great because we spend half a day working on a creative project. Then we have monthly book club. Our first our January book club is by Twyla Tharp. It's like about moving, and I'm blanking on the name. I keep blanking on the name. I've read it. It's so, so good. But it's her latest book, and it's about midlife. And, really, she's such a creative inspiration. So that's a really fun option. And then we just go through the book together. Bi-weekly lessons, as I mentioned, they go with the monthly master classes, a 227-page workbook PDF, a resource library where you find all sorts of MP3s, PDFs, and videos to support your journey. A private community. It's not on Facebook, so it's a really wonderful resource and platform where you can find everything you need. Concierge care. I have a wonderful VA who is very, very supportive and nurturing, and I hope to do the same. I try to do the same also. And then overflowing bonuses. You guys, there are 16 bonuses that go along with this. So here's what we are studying, and it's based off my book, Year of Tranquility, but it has 5 additional modules. So I've replaced some of the modules or some of the lessons that are in Year of Tranquility and brought in new ones here. So we go through dreams, relationships, style, creativity, mindfulness, wellness, joy, new one, compassion, new one, simplicity, new one, mental health, new one, gratitude, new one, and meaning. Again, here's a peek into the workbook, which is just absolutely beautiful. I can't take credit. My designer is amazing. And here's what a few people have to say about their experience in the program. A welcome refuge from the trials of my daily world. Monthly themes have supported me in grounding my intentions. Truly brought some tranquility to a very full and busy life. Tremendous investment in my self-care journey. Everything I hope for and more. The content is sequenced and sorted well, and there's always something new and many surprise additions. And if cultivating a community with wonder seekers, dreamers, and doers is your jam, then the Coterie is for
You never
you.
came back. Oh, I'm sorry. I thought you were going to tell me when it came on.
Sorry, let me mute. Sounds like someone has accidentally unmuted. There we go. Okay. And then here we go. Oops, sorry. Let me go back. Close that. Lynn, every month I feel like I'm able to focus on an area of my life I'd like to learn more about. And then Kate says it helps me find the magic spark in everyday life, which I just love that. And so here's what they have found too. Some of our participants that they've been able to make time for reflection, infuse meaning into their days, found less overwhelm in the chaos of everyday life, which let's be honest, it can be, taken action on those creative dreams, and then showed up authentically as they are now. Because the thing about it is who they were a few years ago is different than who they are now and what their needs are. And so that's what is wonderful about this experience. Now, there are 2 options for this. There's a one-time payment and option 1, which is the coterie itself, or there's option 2 that comes with 2 coaching, like one-on-one coaching sessions. And then there are also payment plans for this, as you see, 6-month installments. And then there's also more. So if you check out the FAQs, there are additional payment plans, even up to 12 months. Now, those of you who sign up tonight or tomorrow, you'll get this additional bonus, which is a little Coterie t-shirt. So kind of like this one, but it is a Coterie or a little organic canvas tote. So if you would like one of those treats, go ahead and sign up, and you can find out more at kimberlywilson.com/coterie, including it would get you into our seasonal soiree, which is happening on Saturday. And again, 40 live events, you guys, there's so, so much. And I wanted to just mention, because I wrote some notes of, what people receive, the 12 modules, 40 plus events, private community, support and structure, and workbook. And whenever you think about, well, why join? What does this do for me? The one thing I really want to mention about Tranquility du Jour as a whole is I never feel like it's like a checklist, even though I do love checklists, but we're like, tranquility, check, got it. Or mindfulness, check, got it. Now I'm all set. I figured it all out, right? these are practices that help support wherever you are and what you're going through. And my hope is that they continue to be nourishing and helpful practices, whether you're going through the loss of a loved one, like we went through in the past 2 weeks, whether or not you're going through a big transition, a job loss, a new job that you're excited about. All these things are part of our everyday life. And how do we navigate them with a little more ease? That is what the Coterie is about. Now, let's talk New Year tips. All right, so I've got my little list over here. And the one thing too, I do want to mention with the Coterie is you can find out more at kimberlywilson.com/coterie. All right, New Year tranquility tips. Okay, you guys, I've got four for you. And my thought with this is like, what are the different ways? And here's my little list with stars and pink. But as you think about how to launch into this new year without, like, again, new year, new you, I have to figure everything out. I have to change all this stuff. No, no, no. Please let this be gentle and ease filled, where you just kind of like glide into the new year. So, number one that I want to mention here, and this is always really helpful and important to me, no matter what it is I'm going through or dealing with. I'll give an example. On Friday, as I was flying here to be with my partner's family for the funeral, I realized as I'm getting on the plane that I left my coat and my scarf at security. And I realize it. So I get off the plane and I say to the gate person, they're immediately like, she's off the plane. We have to remove her. And I'm like, I left my stuff at security. Uh, I'll be right back. How much time do I have? I had 12 minutes. You guys, I was racing, rushing, rushing. I'm like, as I'm rushing to security, hoping that they still have my coat and scarf, knowing it was going to be like 3 degrees here. I was just like, okay, how do I practice tranquility in this moment? And as I'm like running and dragging my suitcase behind me, I'm like, you know what? It's like, I just have to breathe. You just have to breathe through it because there's nothing you can do. This is out of your control. You got 12 minutes. And you guys, what was so funny is when I got to the gate, I really thought I'd made it in 11 minutes. And he's like, sorry, too late. And I almost started to cry. And he's like, just kidding. I was like, you're so cruel, but that's kind of funny. So, number one is savor simple pleasures because we have moments like we leave our coat at security, um, and then we have to run back for it in heels, holding a suitcase. So, the thing about savor simple pleasures, the reason I wanted to mention this here is because I really want us to hone in on ways to nourish our nervous system when you're running to go get your coat at security. So, what are some ways to nourish the nervous system? One thing I love, and this is coined by a psychotherapist named Deb Dana, are glimmers. And glimmers are looking through for the beauty in everyday life. So, yeah, we all know about doing a gratitude journal and list like we have here on this image, but how can we just notice those little specks of delight, right? So maybe it's a nourishing cup of tea. Maybe it's a nice stretch break. Maybe it is hearing from a loved one. Maybe it is, finding your favorite song on the radio. As we were going down to the burial today, I was playing a playlist that I created for the Substack community, and Cher's Dancing Queen came on, and I was just like, this is so beautiful. That was a little glimmer in my day. Sacred pauses, just taking that moment to like, I have 10 minutes between my therapy clients, and it's like, okay, what can I do to just be? Take a few moments to breathe in and out through my nose, feel my body, feel my belly, and check in. And then rituals, and particularly in midlife, sleep can become quite challenging. So, what are the rituals you can bring into these savor simple pleasures? Again, which is number one. What are the rituals that you can bring into it? For sleep, I travel with an eye mask. I've got my earplugs actually right here on my desk. I sometimes travel with a little desktop humidifier. All these things that just help nourish the nervous system, especially because sleep can be so challenging as we get older. And, it's challenging for some people their whole lives. So, just thinking for you, what are some ways, number one, that you can savor simple pleasures? Number two, and this is also very helpful in grounding for me. I find this really important, is a weekly planning ritual. So, I like to do this on Sunday night. So, you know what I'm going to be doing after we're done tonight. And I like to just sit down and really think about my intentions for the week ahead. I list my three main things for the week. Like what I've got so far is love notes, sending some love notes out. And I also have on here preparing for the soiree for the Coterie. And then also, I want to record some podcast intros for some upcoming podcasts after Julie's releases on Monday. So these are just a few fun things that I'm like, okay, these are the priorities for the week. So for you, as you think about a weekly planning ritual, what might it be? And I will say I've created a brand new one pager that I'm so excited. It's in the Coterie workbook. It's going to be in the Substack workbook, and it's also going to be in another upcoming workbook. So it's just this great one pager. We have everything on it for that day. So also thinking about what's my intention? What are my gratitude? What are my takeaways from this day where you really kind of sit down and do some thinking about the week ahead. And then that also helps you recap the past week. And then reviewing the week. Sometimes it's helpful to know, okay, Tuesday is going to be a very energy intense week, and I need to do what I can to prepare for it, right? So knowing energetically what's ahead is very important. So you've got number one, savor simple pleasures. That's all about taking care of that nervous system. Number two is your weekly planning ritual, whatever that might be for you. And number three is simplify decision making. So we have so many decisions that we make on a daily basis, from what we eat to what we wear to the emails we send, the work we do, how we show up in the world. So I like to think about, okay, how can I simplify this? So maybe there's certain days where you do errands. Like for me, if I'm going to go, I get my hair done like 6 times a year, right? I get my highlights, and I want to always do that on a weekday. So I'm not there when it's super busy. So I try to work my world around that. I try to do my ballet classes during the week. I try to go to the grocery store, not on the weekend or the evening. So thinking about how can you simplify your errands and your decisions to make it easier. I have a list for the grocery store. I get the same things every time. I tend to eat the same thing for breakfast, often for lunch or dinner. So, how can you simplify your life just to make it a little easier? For me, I have to write everything down and schedule it. So, I don't know about you, but thinking about what helps you simplify all those daily decisions. The other thing too is with clothing, like what do you wear? I have a uniform, so I wear the same thing all the time. And then I just pop on some additional fun layers. And so, what would make your life a little bit easier? And again, we're not looking for an overhaul, we're just thinking for some simple shifts. So, number three, simplify decision making. And then last but not least, this is a big one. Number four, build your tranquility toolkit. Okay, now I've got a lot here to mention. So, items, what are the items that would be on your tranquility toolkit? The practices or the resources? So, just asking yourself that. What would my tranquility toolkit hold? Now, Tranquility Toolkit could be like things you have digitally on your phone, or it could actually be like a little tranquility drawer. This is something that I have mentioned that, or a little pouch. I've got this adorable little pouch a friend got for me for the holidays. Look at the orangutans. And so I just feel it like these are the things that I have in my bag that are just necessities for me. So journal and pen always, earplugs always, and then I also really like to have these noise canceling headphones. I found myself becoming way more sensitive to sounds lately, and so having something to protect that sensory overload is so important. I love candles. I like setting boundaries. I like to have a little cozy shawl. So here is on my lap right now. Whole foods, right? Ways to kind of fill your body with things that you feel good about. And treats, always treats. I never ever want to be like, and remove those things that you adore from your life. Playlists, things that bring you delight and joy that you love listening to. Hand over heart. So we did that earlier. And just thinking about this, when you get frustrated this week, which you probably will because frustrating things happen, just notice, can you put your hand over your heart and just be like, this will be okay. I'll get through this. Something that just helps to kind of calm and ground your nervous system. Hand over heart is really, really soothing. There's another thing, and this is butterfly hug. So one hand on one shoulder, opposite shoulder, and then you just tap kind of back and forth. This is another way to nourish your nervous system. I also love checklists. I'm very big on checklists. So maybe an AM stretch checklist, a stretching midway checklist, an evening checklist. I have PT exercises to do for my hip that I've had a lot of issues with. So I like to track that and make sure I do them and then be able to check that off. But it's also very good for me because it helps build strength. Movement, of course, is so, so important. And I know during the holidays, it's easy to get out of those habits. And so, what would you like to bring back in? So, for me, I need to get back to my daily ballet, which has been disrupted with a lot of travel. And also, the last thing I want to mention is limit those stressful inputs. So, what do I mean by that? I mean, knowing like when is best for you to check email, knowing when is best or not best to check the news, right? So, just noticing what are those things that are stressful. I have started doing a lot of do not disturb on my phone so that I don't know when things come through until I choose to go and check it. And it's really just related to calls or text messages because I have notifications off for everything else. But for you, what would help you limit those stressful inputs? Okay, so number one, savor simple pleasures. Bring those into your life. Like this image, it has tea, it has peonies, it has a journal and pen, and it has water. Number two, weekly planning ritual. Because how often do we start the new year off and we're really excited? And then we get into March and we're like, what did I want to do? We get into September. What was that? Right. And so, how can we just be continually coming back to what is my vision for myself this year? Simplify decision making because it becomes exhausting. And you've probably been in situations where by the end of the day, you can't. You cannot make any more decisions. You are at capacity. And then build your tranquility toolkit is number four. I hope these are helpful as you think about the year ahead and your own tranquility. Now, what's on the tranquility menu? What's happening here? And I wanted to mention my digital courses because if you're like, oh, the Coterie, that's not for me right now. I just wanted to let you know additional options that we have. And again, ranging from for a fee, a cost, to free. So I've listed quite a few here for you. So this is a course that takes you through the 5 Tranquility du jour tenets, which are creativity, compassion, mindfulness, style, and wellness. And this is, you can find all this at kimberlywilson.com/digital courses. There's also this one on mental health. So as a therapist, I created one on mental health that's just filled with all sorts of ideas. These all have like 5 lessons, 5 modules with like multiple lessons under them. And this one, again, focused on mental health and more ease in our lives, ladies. That is what, and ladies and a few gentlemen I know are joining us tonight. And this is really an important piece to help us as we navigate our days. Now, this is a new one that just came out this past year that is so much fun. And it was going to be a micro course, and it became quite large course, actually. And again, has 5 modules and 5 lessons under each of those. And it's all about bringing Paris to you. So it's not about like, what do I do in Paris? Although that's in there. It's because I have been obsessed with Paris for many, many years, but it's more about how do I bring the Parisian lifestyle into my everyday life, right? With like basic things of really honing in on pleasures and sensory delights. Now, this is a brand new one that is releasing next week, Year of Tranquility, and it walks you through the book, Year of Tranquility, and it's updated to focus on midlife. So you'll find out more about that. You'll see that over in the digital courses page. And again, that releases on Wednesday. Substack. So, if you're not familiar with Substack, this is a really wonderful platform that many writers are on and that I just got into last February or March. And so every month I release a free newsletter plus 4 podcasts, 5 if there's 5 Mondays. And then there's also, as you'll see up here, a private collection. And if you join the private collection, you get 5 new Tranquility tools each month that range from private podcast, a guided meditation, a plant-based recipe, a Spotify playlist, and journal prompts. And I also do a month in review. So you'll get photos, you'll get resources, you'll get more journal prompts and ideas on how to bring what's going on in my world and how to bring more tranquility into yours. And you'll find more about this over at kimberlywilson.substack.com. And there's different ways to join. And if you do the atelier, you get a bonus digital course with it of whichever one you would like. So again, that's Substack. You've got the free version, which I think many of you are on, and then there's also the monthly annual, and we have a few atelier members who I'm very grateful for. Podcast. So again, this is the free new season, which is, I love doing these for you, and I hope that you're enjoying them. I'd love to hear what you're finding most useful and powerful about this season, particularly midlife related. I think we have just released number 12. And so yeah, and I've got them scheduled through May, you guys. So there's a lot of tranquility coming your way with this. Also, if you don't know, over on YouTube, I have a channel, of course, that's free, Tea with Kimberly, and there are 60 plus videos, including at the end of last year, I released a 4-part midlife series that you may enjoy. And I talked about joy, transitions, mindset, sorry. So there's a lot over there for you all if you want additional free resources on ways to bring tranquility into your life. Of course, I'm working on a new book about midlife. So Advanced Tranquility, Finding Beauty and Balance in Midlife. And thank you, because many of you have contributed ideas and tips of what you want to see and what you're curious about over the past year. And I really appreciate your insights, and I'm taking them all to heart. And of course, we support Pigs and Pugs Project, which is my nonprofit. We give about $7,000 a year, Pigs and Pugs Project does, to pig sanctuaries and pug rescues in the US. Also, 1% for the planet, and then Borneo orangutan survival, which you may know that I went to Borneo in March and was able to go to the sanctuary and meet some amazing orangutans. And you may have seen Orangutan Jungle School on Amazon Prime or PBS. Anyway, you get to really see up close these amazing, beautiful beings. And I'm obsessed with them. And a portion of all Tranquility du Jour supports these organizations. Questions and takeaways. I'll close the slide deck in case you all have any questions, and I would love to hear what are some takeaways from tonight's experience, whether or not it's a journal prompt, whether or not it is one of the tranquility tips for the new year, whether or not you came up with your word or theme of the year. So before I close, I would love, love, love to hear what that might be. All right, so I'm going to stop the share and then head on over to the chat box as you share what has come up for you all. So producer saved all year in one spot. Yes, yes. Everything is replay. I love it. Laura, Kelly, Catherine, you guys, loving all the ways to stay connected to this amazing community. Yes, so please know, I mean, ranging from, of course, the regular podcasts to the YouTube channel. I'll have some new videos coming your way. And of course, the Coterie is kind of like I say, everything in the kitchen sink because there's so much in it. But it is a wonderful way if you really want support and structure throughout the year. Oh, thank you guys for the condolences. I really appreciate it. So we've got thank you for the New Year tips. Love all 4. I'm so glad. And I'll recap them for a moment. The savor simple pleasures, always an important one. Weekly planning ritual. Like, how can you tonight, if this is meaningful to you and helpful for you, do a little bit of planning, looking ahead and thinking about the week ahead, the month ahead. I like to do monthly. And then, of course, annual. Simplify that decision making. See if you can make things a little easier for yourself. And then build your tranquility toolkit. All right, so we've got, love the reminder to plan the week ahead. Yes, and again, Catherine, if you haven't seen it over in your new Coterie workbook, check out the one pager because it's really, really great. And of course, you can just print a bunch of those pages if you'd like. Michelle, love the idea of weekly planning ritual and limiting stressful inputs. Yes, I'm so glad, Michelle. And the one thing too about the ritual that I just want to mention, is drinking something lovely while you're doing it. I'm obsessed with sparkling grapefruit water, lighting a candle, having a playlist going, wearing something comfortable and sitting down and making an experience. Maybe even doing it with a friend virtually, right? You're like, okay, it's planning time. You don't necessarily have to talk, but you just do the work at the same time. Diana, thank you. Amber, what? You came up with your word or theme. I'm so happy. Growth. I love that. Heather says so many great tools and to remember them through this reinforcement. Also, my condolences. Thank you. I really, really appreciate it. Lisa, my word came through. My word is light. Oh, that's so beautiful. I love that you guys got your words tonight. That's so lovely. Jamie, weekly planning ritual to not lose sight of the goals I'm making at the beginning of the year. Yes, and many of you probably know, those of you who've been around for years, it's a slight obsession for me, and I by no means want to push it on you, but if you find it helpful, I find for a lot of my clients, they find planning to be a way to gain a source of control over things that can feel chaotic. And what I mean by that is like, okay, what am I going to eat this week, right? Or when am I going to have my appointments? What meetings, what things can I fit in to my schedule, knowing what my energy is and what my capacity is, and knowing that Friday is not a day to be like having a ton on my radar. Friday for me tends to be a creativity day and I don't see clients. So what is it for you, right? Can't wait for the updated year of Tranquility, says Miss Kate. Yes. And of course, in the Coterie, you get that digital course. And so the lessons are going to be updated with a midlife theme. And Allison, inspired to recommit. Allison, I just have to say, I'm so impressed that you got up at midnight for this. I'm so grateful. Recommit to my word of the year, connection. So funny, I wrote connection as a possibility too. Tempted during this first snowy week to hibernate. Yes. Christine, weekly planning, even though I'm retired and have lots of flexibility in your schedule. Yes, Christine, and that's really interesting too, because you may not have a lot on your like 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. schedule, but you probably have some things that you want to do that are kind of bigger projecty, right? Like organize this or volunteer or do this. And there's something nice about that flexibility. But I do find that people in retirement, they also seek a little structure. So what would a little structure look like for you? And you may already have it. Mary says, my word or theme is graciousness. I love that. I highly support that. Lynn, I'm also taking the weekly planning rituals, and I think my word will be joyful. Great. The one pager is fabulous. Just take a look at it, Melanie. Yay. I'm so glad you like it. I worked on that way too long than I should have, but it's really, really fun. And again, for those of you, you're like, what's the one pager? It's in the Coterie workbook. It's going to be in the Substack workbook for those of you who join the private collection. It's $9 a month, you guys. Or if you do the year long, it's $190 a week, which is really great. And it'll be in that brand new workbook that's coming out this week. And then also in the Year of Tranquility workbook. And Bara, thank you so much for joining, sweetie. It's like as I start the new year, the idea of being mindful about planning. Bara is a former teacher at Tranquil Space and so thankful it's assisted me to connect. Wonderful. Helen, pause. I love Helen. I might steal that. That's a very good word. I like that. Hearing about your pouch, my Tranquility toolkit. Thank you for inspiring a fun gathering. Isn't this adorable? I got this as a Christmas gift, you guys. And then she even had it monogrammed, my friend. It's just like so beautiful. I'm like, where do you find an orangutan pouch? I don't know, but I'm here for it. Tracy, thank you for the inspiring. Adore the idea of planning my week energetically. Yes, because there's so many times we're like, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do this. And then the day shows up and you're like, I am exhausted. I don't want to do this. And so, how can you create the spaciousness in your week of just knowing when you're a little more on and when you're a little more not on, or you want to take a pause? I love that. Maureen, hugely helpful for adjusting my mindset for a busy year. Yes, Maureen, and mindset is an important piece, and we're going to actually be talking about in the dreams module. And you may know about mindset work by Carol Dweck. There's a book called Mindset, very, very good, former bestseller, but it talks about the difference between a growth mindset and a fixed mindset. And a growth mindset is, I can't do that yet. You use the word yet. Okay, I'm paraphrasing. pretty intensely for a book. But the other is like, oh, I can't do that. Like, that's not possible. Right. So it's like, how do we have a growth mindset of what is possible? So I love that. Refine and reduce. Catherine, the end of 2025 word is coming up as vibrant. I kind of like that, Catherine. Very beautiful. Jody, realize, you guys, I'm so impressed. Carol, love all the tips, and we are so lucky to be able to participate in this program. She is a Coterie member. Always new insights. Sacred pauses resonate so much. I love this new planning sheet. Word is grounded, connected. You guys love it. I'm committed to doing my weekly planning every week on Sunday afternoon. Yes. And you know what can be helpful? I have clients that'll be like, Sunday afternoon is my time, meaning I don't do things with other people. It's my meal planning time. It's my, decompressing time because a lot of people get the Sunday scaries. So how can I protect myself as I move into it? And they're just like, I just don't schedule anything from 2 o'clock on Sunday. So, whatever works for you. But I love that. Carrie, space, good. And simplify. Medley a delicious nap today. Oh my gosh, that sounds amazing. Appreciate it offering since DC days. I am so grateful, Allison, for your longtime commitment to tranquility. Priscilla, big goal is complete your BA. Wonderful. How long are the seasonal surveys? They're an hour and a half. And then I also do a 30-minute add-on where we just kind of sit and chat afterwards to be like, what were the takeaways? What questions do you have? Let's keep art journaling together. So yeah. And you'll find all this information, Michelle, over in the FAQs on the Coterie page, again, which is kimberlywilson.com/Coterie. And again, if you join tonight or tomorrow, you get a bonus tea that you get to choose, and they do ship internationally, or a bonus little tote, your choice is yeah. Hell yeah. Betsy, I love it. Allison, need to log off. This was great. Thanks for being here. Word of the year was balance. Love hearing everyone else's. Thank you for sharing your time. Is taking up space. I love that, Alessia. That is so beautiful. And I encourage everybody to think about that as they go into this new year. How can you take up space? Because one thing that happens a lot in midlife is a decrease in confidence. And what would it look like for you to walk into a room like you owned it, right? So, how can you take up more space, whatever that looks like to you? Determined to complete each module. Jennifer, that's my girl, and schedule and phone my coterie time. Wonderful. I love hearing that, Jennifer. I'm so happy you're back with us. Lesia, so lovely hearing other people's intentions. Bar, I have to log off. Thank you. Well, thank you guys so much for being here and sticking around. It's an absolute honor. And again, would love to have you in the coterie. The doors close in 1 week. And if you join tonight or tomorrow, you get one of the bonuses, your choice, tote or tea. And then you also will get to join us for the seasonal soiree happening on Saturday. All right, you guys, thanks so much for being here. I wish you a delicious first full week of 2025. You got this. And I look forward to seeing you again, hopefully very, very soon. If you have any questions, don't hesitate to reach out, Kimberly@kimberlywilson.com. All right, you guys, love you. I wish you a really tranquil launch into 2025. You've got this. Take up that space. All right. Bye, ladies.
Thank you. Bye bye.
Thank you. Bye bye.
Hi, Kimberly.